Hi, everyone. Heather Williams here from the California After School Network and joined by Michael Funk from the California Department of Education Expanded Learning Division for our near weekly Fireside chats. And this week, we're really excited to have Ginger and her team joining us today. We'll have Ginger and her team introduce themselves shortly, but very excited to have Ginger with us. We've talked about having her on for a while. She is one of our fierce advocates for expanded learning and doing a lot of great work in Oxnard. And I think this is the biggest group of folks we have on one of our chats. So we said, Ginger, bring a team, and she sure did. So definitely looking forward to hearing from you all in a few minutes. But Michael, I know there's some big policy updates. So I'll turn it over to you and we will jump right into that.
Thank you, Heather. And thank you, Oxnard, for coming to the house today. Very excited to hear from you. And I've seen firsthand the work in Oxnard for quite some time. Oxnard is part of what we call Region 8. The state's divided into 11 different regions. And for some time, we were short-staffed, and we have staff assigned to every region. And I had assigned myself to Region 8 for 2 years. And so I had the opportunity to be there firsthand and be in Oxnard many times. So excited to showcase you and your passion. Of course, Ginger's served on multiple committees here at the statewide committees, the policy committee, and many others. And I've just appreciated her as a human and as a colleague for a long time. So welcome. Well, on the last Fireside chat, I mentioned there was AB 104, there was the trailer bill from the Department of Finance, but we knew some things were going to shift. We weren't sure when. We knew that when they did, they'd move fast. Well, all that's true. Yesterday afternoon, Senate Bill 86 and Assembly Bill 86 were both released. They are identical, but they are the combination of the next version of what reopening will look like. There's a lot of things in the bill that get into financing, that get into timing, that get into teachers, and so many sections of the bill. It's very complex. And it was originally supposed to be something that was negotiated between the governor's office and the legislature, and something that was going to be jointly released. That's not what this is. This is simply the Assembly and the Senate. It was released outside of the collaboration with the governor's office. And in the governor's press conference today, he mentioned several things about it that he wasn't pleased with. And that has primarily to do with the timing of how soon children will go back to campuses, and the safety and the science and all those things. I'm not going to go into that, but I think you'll find lots of interesting articles in EdSource. There was an article today that came out specifically about that, in some other places. I want to specifically talk about a section of the bill that is relevant to expanded learning, and it is section 43522. 43522. And it has a lot of the language that was in the prior legislation. So there's not a lot here that is concerning to me. It does specifically open up the nearly $4.6 billion for many things that will support children. One of them being after-school programs, before and after-school programs by name. It does strongly encourage our lead educational agencies, our school districts, to engage, plan, and collaborate on program operation with community partners and expanded learning programs. So that's a specific call out. And one of the sections that we were most concerned about has now our system of support for expanded learning, which is a collaboration with county offices and my office and intermediaries like the California After School Network and ASAP Connect. It specifically calls out, and I'm going to read this. On or before May 1st, 2021, the department's statewide system of support for expanded learning, in collaboration with the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence and consistent with the statewide system of support established in section 52059.5 shall develop a best practice guide to assist local educational agencies with the implementation of this section. The department, in collaboration with the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence, shall make this guidance available to all local educational agencies. The guidance shall include the following, and this is what I'm very excited about. Number one, guidance and professional development resources on evidence-based models for providing supplemental instruction and support in an engaging manner in a positive climate. Number two, guidance on the effective practices for the assessment of pupils' academic and social emotional needs, the use of effective curricular resources and instructional practices, and the leveraging of community partnerships in order to accelerate learning and meet pupils' social, emotional, and basic needs. Number three, best practices for contacting and re-engaging disengaged pupils. Can you all get behind that? That's what we do. That's what we do. And I'm excited about it. I don't think this part of the bill's, I think whatever happens in the politics of AB or SB 86 in the governor's office, I don't see these segments as the controversial part of the bill, but who knows? But I'm very pleased to see that, the reason that this language is there is because of the work that programs across California have done during the pandemic, including Oxnard. And everything I just read that we're supposed to help other districts do is what you do. So stay tuned. We're going to keep, pay attention. I've been told, this came out last night or yesterday afternoon. I heard it came out last night, and I was instructed by the department to give my suggested edits and feedbacks for amendments today. And this is supposed to go to committee on Monday and possibly be voted on next week. So it's going to move quick. So pay attention, as always. And with that, let's hear from our wonderful partners in Oxnard, California. Ginger Shea, you and I have had some conversations specifically about this chat. And one of the things that struck me was when you mentioned how you were intentionally planning for summer and the reopening of school with multiple scenarios in mind. So let's start. Tell us about what that's been like for you.
Well, it's definitely been very interesting trying to plan the best ways for us to support and reach as many students as we can with our after school program. We know that we are going to take advantage of the extension and funds or spending from this year to help fund our summer program. And hearing these updates from you allows us to start positioning ourselves to be able to offer something in the summer. And so right now, our district is still operating virtually. We still have a very high rate of COVID in some of our zip codes. And I could not tell you right now if we're going to come back in person this year or over the summer or in the fall, given what the numbers look like today. And certainly they're trending down. So because of that, we are forced with having to plan a hybrid program, part in person, part at home. We're faced with planning a virtual program as well as a full in-person program. We're also wanting to provide something that's full day if we're able to come back in person to support our students and families, and kind of on a shortened day if it ends up being through Zoom, so we're not sitting on Zoom the whole time. So all scenarios are on the table, and everything we plan has basically those three options moving forward with it. It becomes important for us to leverage what partnerships that we have. A lot of our teachers who often teach summer, I know, are experiencing kind of exhaustion from teaching in an online environment. I know that some of them have a desire to return in person. And when I'm referring to teachers, we have an excellent partnership between our after school program and working with the city of Oxnard to provide that, and then our credentialed teachers at the school sites. And that partnership allows us to build a pretty awesome program for our kids where we can disguise learning. Mr. Miller has joined us because I've relied on him to help organize some of the curriculum and activities for the summer program, getting STEM activities going. And Mr. Miller, I would love to turn it over to you to speak to some of the activities that you plan and how you think you might adjust those for a few different scenarios.
Okay, are we talking about science as in like how it went a couple summers ago, like the
So, you know, we've used engineering as elementary with our students, and we're looking to bring science back. While our kids have been learning virtually, science has been kind of tabled and shelved. Our summer program is focused on science and writing. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the design of the summer program, you know, obviously was enrichment, and the name, of course, you know, summer learning is not by that's by design. We're not calling it obviously summer school, which, you know, some would consider a pejorative. So, you know, the structure of the day is kind of nice, where, you know, the students have their you know, hands-on science teacher for an hour and a half, and then it flips, and then, you know, a credentialed teacher will teach writing, and within that, you know, there are reflective journals, there's discussions about, you know, the activities that they experienced and that sort of thing. That goes on, you know, in the AM, and then in the afternoon, the students were learning from a curriculum called Engineering is Elementary, or Engineering is Everywhere. I can't remember precisely what it was because it's been a while, obviously. Yeah. Those are all now that curriculum is very heavily inquiry based. You know, a lot of hands-on, you know, constructive, I mean hands-on, like building things, and it's all like very scripted and scaffolded, but not, it's not extremely rigid. So everyone has a different, you know, end to their lesson, but it kind of, everything for the most part blends. Now in a distance learning model, the first thing that comes to mind is, you know, all of this is still possible, right? The building of things, the scaffolding of learning, and all of these things. But when you have that, of course, material, it's very heavily reliant on materials as well. So I think my initial thought would be, you know, we have had students, all the students in the after school program at Fremont right now consistently pick up materials. There's a whole system in place for that. So Ginger,
it's changed how we plan.
Yeah.
So having to plan for virtual or in person, anything that we're selecting to do with students has to be packaged in advance, and then sent home. And we've learned through what we've been doing in after school now to have certain days where the families stop by the schools to pick up the materials to then do the activities. So planning for a summer program, we're going to have to think of things like that. And you know, as we're planning right now, the conversation has been that same curriculum that we've been using has modified, and is looking at providing individual kits. So that was really exciting news today, for us to be able to adjust and pivot to be able to carry that forward. The other part of the planning of this is that we're able to shift and move through, making it a valuable experience for our students, and bring in staff that are able to focus on building relationships and have a very upbeat, positive interaction with them. And so Donnelly, the director of the Scholars Program through the city of Oxnard, Elsie and Paulina work to bring the students in, keep the interest up, and navigate what the experience is for the students so that it doesn't feel like they're attending a babysitting program, because it's not. It's really more of a camp, which is why we call it our writing and science camp, because the students get lots of opportunities to touch and do and explore. And so we're trying to figure out, how do we bring that back? How do we bring that? And when I say back, like, how do we do that virtually? How do we do that in hybrid? How do you do a collaborative project like we've been doing when we can't be closer than 6 feet from one another? And so that type of collaboration is needing to be reinvented as we're thinking of things and how we do things differently for the summer. Donnelly, I don't know if you would like to talk about some of the things that you're looking at for the summer regarding numbers of staff and how we have a reduced student to staff ratio and how those work out. But I know you can speak to that. You've told me a ton.
Yeah, so I mean, every year it's always a bit of a struggle. I'm sure, you know, working in the after school program environment, staffing is always a topic of conversation and a struggle everywhere. But, you know, looking at the summer program, I see it as a bit of a blessing, because I'm able to provide the continued work for our staff. And obviously we're able to keep them on board throughout that time. So that's something that I really love about the collaboration and the fact that we have the opportunity to be involved in the summer program. You know, and when we're looking at these different scenarios, one of the things that, you know, I'm considering is, if we're in person, obviously we need to start looking at, you know, what PPE we need to order for our staff, because, you know, staff safety as well as the student safety is the number one priority in my view when it comes to the program. You know, talking to Ginger about the number of staff that we would potentially need, you know, 80 staff for a 6-week program, you know, just making sure that we obviously have staff that are available the Monday through Friday, because we obviously don't want to have a multiple of people seeing the same group of kids. So these are all things that I obviously am going into the summer considering. If it's in a virtual space, I feel like we have a pretty good handle on a virtual program, just, you know, with the way that we've been able to navigate our program this school year. So I'm not too concerned about a virtual program, but yeah, it's definitely looking at that hybrid model or even in person. So we definitely have our work cut out for us, or I do at least, to be able to provide that 80 staff. But no, I look forward to it. You know, the experience that I've had, even just doing the visits that I've had the ability to do in the past, has always been a great experience. You know, seeing the interaction that we have, or the connection that our staff have with the kids in our program, whether it be during our regular day or the summer. You know, that's really what keeps me going, and the focus that I have in terms of getting the staff for that program.
You
Hey,
know,
Danley, let me, sorry, Ginger, but let me interject something before we lose it. You mentioned the PPE. I don't know if we've mentioned this, Heather, but the state of California, in partnership with the Department of Education, the Cal OES Office of Emergency Services, in partnership with CDE, has sent 3 months worth of PPE out for every school district. It's been sent to the county offices. The county offices will get that to the districts. In the calculation of how much was necessary, we calculated how many expanded learning staff are in every geographic region, and those numbers were included with the 3 months worth of PPE. So probably should have mentioned that before. We've sent the numbers, the estimate, to all the different county offices in our system of support for expanded learning. So But as happens, right? So that number is calculated in. And when the order is shipped to the county office, they know that there's a subset of this set aside for expanded learning staff. That message doesn't always travel through the system. So now you know it and you can ask for it and reach out to your Ventura County Office of Ed expanded learning team. And if you want to get specific about that. So hopefully that'll take one thing off your list.
That's really great.
Thank you. Yeah.
News. I think that Donnelly and I have been working jointly. We've been supporting some of our homeless and foster students, and the district has been providing PPE through the COVID Mitigation Funds. So it hasn't been an issue for us, but I think that it is really great to know that, and we'll definitely be tapping into that if we're in person in the summer. I think it'll be a interesting run, since we've been operating virtually, for us to see how much PPE we go through in a day, because I'm sure that we'll be surprised at how much we need to use on a daily basis. You know, Donnelly talked about hiring 80 staff, and she's using the number. We're a program with 20 schools. We usually, in a normal summer, we're probably running about 45 scholars program staff and 20 credentialed teachers working with us. And this summer, we're talking about 80 credentialed teachers, and we're talking about 80 staff from the after-school program. And we're talking about partnering the teacher with the after-school program staff so we can create that seamless day for the students. And the reason, you know, it's like all of a sudden we've had to double our capacity because of ratios and accounting for things. So I think it's important to mention that need to almost, I mean, it's essentially double for you, right, Donnelly? I know you filtered some of the kids through, or through the staff through on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Mondays, Wednesdays. But, you know, at the end of the day, when we talk about our summer program, the kids that we work with is what it's about. And I think, you know, I tell everybody that I'm very fortunate and I get to play for a living. From everything that we do, even though it's academic in nature, to the hands-on and the play and the relationships that get built in our after-school program. And the people who I believe are really great at building those relationships are our site coordinators. And I asked Elsie and Paulina to come. They've been an integral part of our summer program for the summer when we've been running our in-person program, as I suspect they will as we navigate what happens this summer. But they can really speak to their relationships and the passion and the smiles that kids have. I'd love for you guys to talk about our summer program and what you guys observe in the students.
Definitely. I'll just jump in. So I'm Paulina. I'm the coordinator at the Fremont Middle School. And there's definitely a lot of smiles that I can remember coming in and out of the summer camps that we have worked. And it has just, it's like a light that just pops up. But in one of the summer camps that I was able to work, that's where I met Mr. Miller. He is the teacher that ran in the mornings, and I came in after in the afternoons when the kids are getting their snacks and their meals, and we just jumped into whatever lesson he was working in and built on top of it, and it flowed. So when you mentioned connections between, or when you talked about linking the teachers with the after school program instructors, it's essential. We need that because it helps students see that the day doesn't end in the morning and we're not just having fun. We're still hands-on learning, and we are diving deeper into science and writing, and they are learning throughout the day. But when it comes to, you mentioned in the policy, basic needs and social emotional learning, these kids are 100% receiving basic needs of love, care, and attention. They come in the mornings and they ask for their teachers, they see us and we see them. What did you do last night? What did you have for dinner? You know, it's more than just, hi, sit down, let's get started. We care. These kids they're family. to say the least. They are family. I see them in, my neighborhood. They recognize me here and there, and I recognize them. And immediately we talk about, oh, the summer program, is it happening again? Is there summer camp? And, especially through COVID, we rarely go out, but we do have the kids asking online, will there be a summer camp? How do I get into that? Where mom needs the number, my mom needs the link. What do we need? And they're so excited. And but definitely so many good memories of building connections and relationships with students. I'll let you jump in. I want to take all your time.
Thanks, Paulina. I'm Elsie. I'm the Math and Literacy Coordinator for our Oxnard Scholars After School program, as well as the McAuliffe Site Coordinator. But just to kind of finish up on those building relationships, as Paulina was talking right now, I remembered of 3 little girls that I had this last summer camp that we had, and they were cousins. So we had field trips at the end of our week. So our lessons that the teachers would do in the morning and our after school program instructors would carry on through, the time that we had with the kids. They would tie in to the field trips that we would take on our Fridays. And every single Friday, I had those 3 little girls show up, bright and early, showered, beautiful, combed with their braids. And their moms, they were all sisters. The moms would show up, drop them off, super excited. And I remember the first field trip we had, of the first week of our summer camp, one of the moms was like, can we go on the field trip with you guys? And I go, you guys can't go on the bus, but you guys can definitely, follow along, drive behind us. And the entire family ended up going. So we had the 3 aunts and their cousins that weren't a part of the program, but they still wanted to, build those relationships with us. And it was just so amazing to see how this family wanted to, obviously spend time with their girls, but also spend time with all of the staff and, interact with the other kids that were there. So that was really awesome. Until this day, I still keep in contact with them. They are already off to junior high, and I think they're in Paulina's. I'm not sure if they're Paulina's program, but I still keep in contact with them. So I just needed to share that. But definitely building those connections with the kids, giving them the opportunity that some of these kids may never have, taking them on field trips to places where they might never be able to go. We do serve, our community here is a low income community in most of our, schools that we serve. And a lot of our parents come from the agriculture background where they don't have that, that extra money or that extra time to give their kids that opportunity to take them to the science center, take them to the Griffith Observatory, just to name a few, but just giving them the opportunity and also giving them feeding our kids. Feeding our kids is definitely something that I think is really, really important, which ties in, to what I just mentioned about the communities that we serve. Some parents might not have, that extra $5 to, get them, an extra meal, but we would serve them lunch every day. We would serve them their snack. And just seeing their smile on their faces, I don't think I can remember any student ever like complaining of them not liking a certain meal that they got. They were just so grateful, and they would just share their food. If someone didn't like something, they would just give it, trade it with one of their friends. But definitely, I've worked for the writing and science camp as a lead. So I was one-on-one with the kids. I would do the lessons with them. And I was also able to be like the site coordinator for 2 years for the writing and science camp. So definitely seeing both sides of it, or working both sides of it, was a great experience. And so I hope, crossing fingers, it is in person, because I definitely miss seeing all of the kids But either way, I know we're going to make it work, and I know we're just going to build as many great memories as we have been.
You know, Elsie, you used a word quite a few times in what you were saying, which was opportunity. And I think what you guys are able to provide between the activities with the teachers in the morning and building on those lessons, you know, if it's jets and rockets, we're throwing things up in the air and playing with stuff in the afternoon, and then we're going to visit it. And I think you hit on a big thing. We're providing a lot of opportunities for our students to experience the world around them by having them participate in our summer program. And that's the big thing that we strive to achieve for our students.
Definitely. I just want to add, Elsie, can you remember all the names from the 4 schools that we had at that summer camp? Because at one time, I think we did.
Like flashcards.
For Soria this last time?
Yes, I remember we had it down. We had a lot of names, all the kids from different schools. I actually have one student who I met there and is in my program now. And he'll mention it time to time, like, how crazy, you know, we would have never met. I'm like, I know. So there's these connections that as they move from elementary to junior high, it's great. You know, I get to see them before, and like it's a new face from a new school that they recognize. So
Yes, or
more connections.
Just to clarify the connection, Elsie works at the school that feeds into the school that Paulina works at. And I'm pointing at their pictures. I don't think that we're all in the same order, but they share the same students over time, which is really nice.
John, I saw your hand up.
Oh, I was just gonna say that, you know, a student that was in at Soria, I think 2 or 3 years ago, he's in 2 of my classes in regular school today. And I mean, it's just funny, the connection, we were connected back then, and, you know, he, you know, shows up and he's like, you know, it's just, I don't know, funny like that. Yeah, so thought I'd share.
You know, you did the Shark Tank design challenge with the kids back then. And I mean, even then I run into some of the kids and they were like, you were the judge. And do you remember? And I have to tell you, some of the inventions that the kids came up with should have really been proposed to the real sharks. But the kids get to do a lot of really neat things.
Groups actually went to the school board with their invention, if I'm not mistaken.
Two of them did. We had the cap beanie, and then we had the specially designed dress that doesn't blow in the wind.
Yes.
The essentials.
Well, I think we're just about time. And so I'll leave it on that, on those really awesome Shark Tank projects that got proposed. So I would just like to thank you all for spending this late Friday afternoon with us. It'll probably be Monday morning when most people watch it, but thanks for joining us on a late Friday afternoon. And Elsie, Paulina, John, Danielle, Ginger, it's been great having you all on. Very clear your passion for your students and for this work. And it's great to hear about all the things that you've done and you're doing. And I think a lot of food for thought for people as they are planning and thinking about summer. So for me, I just want to say thank you, not only for what you're doing right now, but just all the work you've done to support youth in Oxnard. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Michael to close us out.
Well, you say most people might not watch this until Monday, but if you're lucky, you'll tune in tonight. I had one person once tell me that when the fireside chats would come out, they'd pop some popcorn and get a glass of wine and sit down and enjoy it. So what a better Friday night than the fireside chat with Oxnard. Heather, I noticed as we were talking about the technical things, there was a lot of precision, a lot of intentionality demonstrated. But when we started talking about the kids, the energy on this Zoom just like went up and up and up, and I could see your animated faces, and you're talking about the children, I could just see that family following that bus to the field trip. And, memories that they'll never forget, but you've never forgotten. And then the way that you're all talking about the children, whether you're a certificated teacher working for the city, community-based, you're talking about your relationships. And in so many places, unfortunately, we're still, these are my kids until the bell rings, and then they're your kids. But what I've heard so clearly is you're all holding these children, you're all holding these families, you're all holding this community together. And it's just beautiful. It's powerful. It's what this bill should create all across California. And I'm so happy we were able to have you on. So with that, you've demonstrated perfectly what I love to say in closing every Zoom: lead with love. Thank you, Oxnard. Thanks, Heather.
Until next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.